Today, we are going to finish out the series on gaslighting. So, this is gaslighting part 3, and we're going to focus on what causes it and hallelujah, what to do about it. So, if you have been following along, you see that this is a very serious thing. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, you're going to want to do that so that you can really get a good handle on it. Just as a little recap, let's talk about gaslighting. It's a form of psychological abuse where a person or group makes someone question their sanity, perception of reality, or memories. So it's a serious issue, but it also is one that that's overcomable, right? People experiencing gaslighting often feel confused, anxious, and unable to trust themselves. And we talked about a lot of the different ways that someone who gaslights you or an institution that gaslights you, um, they use different ways of manipulation to get you to question basically your reality, your sanity, your perceptions. Yes. And the term gaslight came from the movie Gaslight, which I recommend you watch. It's great and it's powerful. So, part 3, what causes it and what do we do about it? Well, gaslighting can cause anxiety and depression, psychological trauma, especially if it's in a pattern of wider abuse. So, a lot of times, gaslighting is associated with other kinds of abuse. And because they're trying to hide up and control and manipulate you, so there can be emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, spiritual abuse, right? Um, Causes, according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, gaslighting occurs because someone wants to gain control over someone else. It is the behavior someone learns by watching others. So oftentimes it's been modeled to you, and then you operate out of that modeling. An abusive person may feel they're entitled to control other people, or that their feelings or opinions matter most. So my feelings and opinions matter, yours don't matter, and if they do, not as much as mine. Okay. Uh, some abusive people also have personality disorders, such as narcissistic personality disorder. I know Brother Henry has talked on this quite a bit. Many people use the term narcissist to describe a self centered or vain person. But while anyone can have narcissistic traits, um, people with true narcissistic personality disorder have long term symptoms such as a constant need for attention and admiration, a belief that they're special or better than everyone else. So I'm special, more special than you, I'm better than you, and a lack of empathy. They just can't feel what the other person feels. Those are classic narcissistic traits that are long term and ongoing and widespread versus just having, just a few traits to have an actual disorder. Those are longer term and broader. So, usually the causes will be because of a need to control, and a need to a feeling that they're entitled and that they matter and other people don't, right? So I can do this to you, and then tell you it didn't happen, or that you're crazy, or that it doesn't matter, or that you don't matter, or that, well, you know how forgetful you are, and all the different things that we discussed last time. Uh, so, and a lot of times it's in the context of other forms of abuse, right? And so if there is sexual abuse happening, if there is emotional abuse happening, if there is physical abuse happening, well, the abuser wants to control the other person. And one really good way to do that that's effective, at least in the short term, is to make the person think they're crazy or that it doesn't matter or that you don't matter or that it's okay or that it didn't really happen. All those different things that we talked about in the second part of the series. So I want to really get on to most importantly how to respond. So you realize, oh my goodness, I might be gaslighted. And you start to question yourself and all those different things. How do you respond? Or you know someone that's like, this is crazy, right? Okay. So gaslighting has a significant impact on mental health. So it is essential for people who experience gaslighting to make sure they basically seek help, right? Um, Really important. Gather some evidence, right? Gather some evidence that will remind you or help the other person be reminded that they're not imagining things. They're not crazy, right? This evidence can become useful later if a person decides to pursue legal action, right? The Domestic Violence Hotline offers ideas of how to gather proof. These include keeping a secret diary. Okay. So this allows the person to track events, including date, time, and details. So this is fresh in your memory. This happened. This is when it happened. This is how it happened. All of that date, time, how it happened. Talking to a trusted family member, friend, or counselor. This is really important because very often those that are getting gaslighted are isolated. So you're with yourself, you're being gaslighted, and you're questioning your own sanity, your own perceptions, your own ability to interpret reality. And so talking to someone else, getting out of that isolation in whatever way, it helps people gain an outside perspective on the situation. Am I crazy? Or if someone smacks me across the face, and I hit the wall, is that normal? Right? And they're saying it didn't happen, or they're saying it doesn't matter, or they're saying I deserved it, or whatever, right? It'll help you gain some outside perspective on the situation to create an external additional record of information. So it helps to gain some validation. Or maybe just say, well, that maybe was a little bit over the top. Maybe that doesn't happen. That's not, but right there, that's something, right? And so that helps gain some perspective. Taking pictures, this can help someone fact check their memories and remind themselves that they're not imagining things. So if someone is controlling you with violence and they broke a chair or something, well, and they're saying, no, it didn't happen, or it's not that big of a deal, or whatever, take a picture of the broken chair, take a picture of the bruises, right? Because this gives you, wait a second, that chair was broken. I'm not crazy. Or those bruises, really did happen. And so I'm not crazy there. And oh my goodness, someone else thinks that it actually matters, right? Keeping voice memos, using a cell phone or device to describe events as a quick way for someone to record something that just happened in their own words. Um, uh, and it says here, always check state laws on recordings before using them in court. The biggest issue here is for you to confirm your own validity in your perceptions, right? Because you may need to make decisions based on that. And that brings us to the next part, staying safe. It's vital that someone who lives with an abusive person make sure they gather proof, but that proof is private. and that they erase their search history after looking up information on gaslighting and abuse. Because if someone is abusive and gaslighting, they're not going to be happy that you watched this. Okay. You'll want to delete the history of that. A person should store evidence in a hidden location, maybe buy a second phone or a cheap voice recorder, keep devices locked away, send records to a trusted individual so that the person can delete personal copies. So you could email it to someone and then delete it. Okay. Um, Create a safety plan, which includes ways to protect yourself from physical and emotional abuse before, during, and after leaving a relationship or situation. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, a safety plan can include safe places and escape points, the contact details of someone who could be called upon to help, self-care activities that help someone to cope, and a plan for safety for leaving the abusive situation. If someone is gaslighting you, let me be clear. That is abuse, and it's not okay. It's violating your boundaries as a person to validate your own internal reality and your sanity and your mental health. Okay, not okay. When to seek help. So, according for the recommendations for the CDC, in domestic relationship, acts of emotional abuse such as gaslighting tend to occur along other types of abuse. So, over time, it can escalate to domestic violence, to physical violence. Anyone who believes they're experiencing abuse from a partner or family member should seek support. You cannot go this alone. You seek support and you deserve support where and it's available. A person can contact domestic abuse organizations for advice and help with creating that safety plan. For the mental health of gaslighting, a person may find it helpful to talk confidentially to a therapist that has experience in helping people in abusive relationships. So with that, I have a bunch of contact information that that I will give to Brother Henry to provide for you. If this is something that where do I go? Where do I go to get that help? No, the truth is that if you're being gaslighted, you are being minimized and you are being abused. And chances are, if that continues, it will just get worse. People who violate your boundaries like that will tend to increasingly up the ante. And you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the people who love you, and you owe it to the rest of the world who needs to see you flourishing and prospering and contributing to seek the help you need. Gaslighting is real, but it is overcomable. I'm a case in point, and I'm a happy camper, and I'm not put up with that mess. But you know, it may take a while for you to be able to get there from here, or to help someone else get there who's ready for it. If someone's not ready, they're not ready, and you can't make them ready. But when they're ready, you can be a resource as well. I hope this has been a blessing for you today. Share this with someone who needs it. And as always, have an amazing day. Bye-bye.